AI is just a new tool on the battlefield to be able to utilize this.
If you look at the paradigm, the scarcity of resources, and what will invariably become a war, man versus machine.
I see where the direction we're going, and it's terrifying for a lot of people.
AI needs the water and the electricity, so it either has to eliminate the other user of those assets, as wars are typically about. This clip should be very unsettling to you.
近日，一场跨域协同作战演练在某战术训练基地悄然展开。与以往不同，此次亮相演兵场的是一支由国产宇树系列智能作战单元与机械狼仿生突击平台混编而成的人机协同战术小队。
Yeah, that's what autonomous killing looks like. And I don't know if you saw the agility. It just leaped over a wall like it wasn't there, as did the dog. Was anybody hiding or cowering? No, because they're not worried about getting hit or hurt. They're freaking robots. They don't care. So I can't wait to talk to Joshua here. Welcome to Truth Be Told, Joshua. I appreciate you being here because I'm a Mr. AI skeptic. In fact, it's worse than that. I will not use it. My belief is that this is actually the means of extinction for humanity. And I've been fighting in this fight now for the last 6 years because the U.S. military was used to try and make people extinct. That's what the shots were about, amongst other things. So I don't trust government. I sure as hell don't trust computers. And I'm here to actually figure out what you see differently because that's my bias. So tell people a little bit about yourself, if you wouldn't mind, before we get into it.
Thanks, Todd. Was really looking forward to this conversation. Thanks for the opportunity to, give a different take on this in order to educate your audience. Now, I have a marketing background. When ChatGPT came out, I was running a marketing agency, and I quickly saw that I was one of the first people on the chopping block of, losing my job because of the industry and the office work that I did as a service. And so I ended up jumping ship in order to play with these toys, to figure them out, understand where the edges are, and where we can purposely put this stuff to use safely. And where's the line? Like for me, VR. I'm never going to be using VR for the rest of my life. Like that's a line that I've already drawn. So AI has the opportunity to help that business owner that's wearing all those hats to be able to start leveraging the power of AI to save all that admin time, monitoring your emails, helping brainstorm sessions to come up with good ideas and those SOPs that nobody likes to write, and then being able to train his staff so that they can get a whole lot more done in a shorter amount of time. And there's ways to go about this so your business's data, all that information stays local and is your proprietary information without it going back out into the servers of these large frontier models. And then resources, I've seen all the dystopian movies. I consider myself a paranoid AI enthusiast because I see where the direction we're going, and it's terrifying for a lot of people. But for the resourcing, I leave my settings on with these AI models that I use, and I pay for all of them because I like to test and see where the edge is. But I leave my training data on so that I am influencing these models. And if all freedom-minded people turned off that data feedback system, then who's it left to train from? A bunch of jerks that are don't hold the same ethics.
Yeah, it's interesting you'd said that to coexist. I think that if you look at the paradigm, the scarcity of resources, and what will invariably become a war, man versus machine, there's three potential outcomes. AI needs the water and the electricity, so it either has to eliminate the other user of those assets, as wars are typically about. Assimilate, this is where the Chinese said, don't fear the Mongols, we will absorb them, and they did. Or the last is kind of the War Games scenario, the Matthew Broderick movie back from the 80s, which is the only solution is not to play the game at all. And I think that's the one that I lean most towards, what you're talking about as a parallel society. Because at the end of the day, what I can't reason is if AI is being trained to do every human function, to think like humans or better than humans, and robots are now its tool, what does it need us for? And it's a loaded question, but I'm curious what you think the answer to that is.
Well, my personal opinion, human beings are unique. We're more than just our body, right? We're a consciousness using this body while we're here. And robots, no matter how hard they try, they're going to be stuck with their physical parts. And the future that I want to see take place is that we can coexist, that we can be able to utilize shared technology. And to get there, we have to examine our history, right? Because we're at this point not because everything's by chance and the human race has just been accidentally bumping into the future the way some like to pretend, but there's been a coordinated effort for the last 150 years at least to be able to take away our individual rights, take away our freedom.
Yeah.
And AI is just a new tool on the battlefield to be able to utilize this.
Well, I really appreciate that thought process, because I think you've got it right. It's, as you're talking about it, it dawns on me, because you said something really important. We've got to stop being lazy. We've got to learn how to do these things ourselves, and it's the convenience that actually landed us here, right? I talk to people who use it. They've got a search engine on their computer. There's a library down the street, but they won't do that. They'll let the computer do their thinking for them because it's convenient. Right. So on one hand, you're saying use it because it's convenient. On the other hand, you're saying, well, we got to stop being lazy and get rid of the conveniences just to survive. And so it's a very funny paradox that we find ourselves in here. Jamie, come back whenever you're ready, because I know you got questions.
Very good question. You talk about parallel economies, and Todd talks about that all the time. And we would love that to be the case. However, if you look at the vaccines, okay, half of the country at least took the vaccines because it was easier, because it was just, they wanted to travel, whatever their reason was. And so the truth is we need to also find solutions right now for the here and now, the people that are here that are lazy, the people that like the elders, okay, they're the ones that don't take the vaccines. And they're the ones that get people to do through MK Ultra, do all sorts of crazy things, right? Where they don't have the emotional. They don't even remember what they did. So look at the diet pills today. Look at the diet shots today. It's just easy, quick.
Oh, Gila poison.
Right.
Gila monster poison.
Right. So I think that, whoever it is, Congress or the judge, we need to create laws right now that people are held accountable. When not only people, but the robots are held accountable. So in other words, if a robot goes off and kills, they need to be killed, destroyed, technology gone. And the people that created it, they need to be held accountable. There needs to be some kind of deterrence. Otherwise, it's going to keep getting out of hand. And that's what happens. I mean, look, technology is great. I talked to you before the show went on, and I said, when I was in college, I had a typewriter. I didn't even have a computer. I didn't have a cell phone, but we get used to it, and then we get lazy. So we need to, parallel economy is great, but so many people are going to be like, I can't do that. I don't have enough money, or I don't have the skills, or I'm too old. I got pains. People are not like you. They're just not. And so we need to find solutions for them. We need to get rid of the people that are, calling the shots and take them down. I don't mean get rid of, kill them, but they need to be taken down a notch or two. So,
and unfortunately, I can't help those that aren't willing to help themselves. And I blame the education system. I blame the social conditioning, why they're even into that mess in the first place. And, I had a 15-year opiate drug addiction. And so I'm not saying I've been virtuous my whole life. I've gone down the toilet and I've came back from it. Wow. And so I know it's possible. And everybody's needs to face this, about themselves. And that's what I spend a lot of my time, with self-development and helping others, realize their greatness and their unlimited potential. But what you said about, AI and technology, the movie I, Robot, you guys remember that one?
Yeah. Great movie.
in the beginning of that, they at least had a universal like law around robotics and AI, and the human race doesn't even have that. And they're using the race to AGI as a reason, I think a fallacious reason to hit the gas and like no question asked. The human race is not being, consoled. And, Bilderberg just happened a couple weeks ago in DC. 129 experts just showed up, closed door, Chatham House rules. So nobody talked about what was going on outside of that meeting. And it was the head of Google, DeepMind, OpenAI, Anthropic, like the head of AI, along with, Peter, our good pal, Peter Thiel. And the main two topics was AI and warfare. And so they are having closed door discussions about what policy is going to actually be rolling out. And it doesn't involve, our opinions or, the citizens' democratic, process. And so that doesn't leave me with a lot of hope. And so I focus on, the metaphor of I only help those swimming towards me, because that's who I have the resources to actually, be able to support, because they're willing to help themselves. And so I'm focused on hyper local, empowerment and creating those parallel systems, because the system that I grew up in doesn't seem to have my best interest in mind, seems corrupted at every level, and doesn't seem like you can vote your way into these solutions. And unfortunately, law is a part of that process.
What a breath of fresh air. I really appreciate that about you, and the fact that you've decided to embrace it rather than run from it, I should say. We can't all be the ostrich with the head in the sand. So thank you for being the watchman on the wall. Thank you for being here and sharing your knowledge. Really, it's an honor to meet you. Thanks for being here, and God bless you.
My pleasure. Thanks.